staying put, and of course in the morning it will be icy first thing. Pembrokeshire College already closed as well for tomorrow. Tom and Gina will be here on the breakfast show bright and early to keep you up to date with what is going on. Let's get into some of the local football from the weekend. It was a busy Saturday across Pembrokeshire. Fraser, we'll start with you because you covered for pembrokeshiresport.co.uk a 1-1 draw, didn't you, between St Ishmael's and Goodwick, and from your report it sounded a decent game that in the end didn't really help either side.
Yeah, that's a fair reflection, I think. I enjoyed it, actually. It was competitive. It was a bit spicy at times. It was scrappy maybe to start with, but there were plenty of chances. And it was a game, I think, look, realistically, both sides needed to win. And Moncton, of course, who were playing, we spoke to Stuart James in the first day playing off, they needed to win. Look, Hakin are in control of the title race. We know that. I think the only opportunity for the sides below them is when Hakin aren't playing and in cup competitions. They have to narrow the gap and hope maybe a fixture backlog scuppers Hakin, who are going to be fighting on 3 fronts, it seems, now for the next couple of months. But look, it was deja vu, actually. Goodwick got a late equaliser against Tish the first time around. I think a draw was fair, but again, Tish without Aaron Hallam, actually, so it was important for them to string a performance together against the top side, so you don't get the narrative there that, they can't play without him, which is nonsense, really. Graham Ninnis has formed a real good unit there. They were really together side. They defended bravely. They were 1-0 up. They were under the cosh for the last 20 minutes for sure, which is why I'd probably say a draw was fair. Sean O'Sullivan, actually, who went to Moonsbridge during the year, come back on. He got the late touch for the Goodwick goal. And Goodwick as well, they've been without Rhys Darling for, I think, more than that, actually, a lengthy suspension for him. They'll really welcome him back in the next couple of weeks as well. But I think it's amazing to think, you think of Goodwick having an off-season. It's actually because of their 3 years consecutive of the title. I think it's 1 league defeat in 70. Which is still an incredible record. And
wow.
They've still shown a real knack for scoring late equalisers. That's the 3rd time they've done it in injury time this season. So you got to credit their spirit as well. They're still a force. But a result which I think really does help neither, but was a fair one. But enjoyed the game and good to be out there. But by God, it was cold down there.
I bet it was really, really cold. You can read Fraser's report on pembrokeshiresport.co.uk. Did you get out, Gordon, at the weekend? Did you brave the elements?
I went to Merlin Bridge versus Penner, and unfortunately I got there a little bit late. And blow me down, the only goal of the game was scored in 2 minutes by Ewan Howells. So I missed the goal. I stayed there till nearly half time. It was an excellent game. Both sides were going at it, hammer and tongs. And they did create chances, but they didn't take them. And both keepers pulled off some good saves while I was there as well. So I then went to something I'm a bit more familiar with. It was the oval-shaped game in Haverfordwest against Tumble. It was second versus third, and it was a very, very tough game, especially up front. It was it was a really needle game. Mikey Griffiths managed to score an unconverted try in the corner to put Haverfordwest in the ascendancy, but they had a 44-year-old fullback, Fraser. I don't know, I'll just have Steve Hewitt. He was absolutely outstanding. His positional play and coming into the line at the right time and putting people in space was very impressive for a 44-year-old. He actually, they dominated the second half, and they won 18-5 with Steve Hewitt kicking a conversion and 2 penalties alongside tries from Aled King and Reese King. So that was a disappointing result for Haverfordwest, but Tumble definitely deserved it on the day.
Yeah, was it cold there as well, Gord?
It was freezing, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely. I couldn't feel my hands when I was taking pictures at all.
Steve Hewitt, I think, actually close to 4,000 club points for Tumble. Gord shows you what a player he's been for them.
Wow,
incredible. And he was the best back on show, and that tells you how good he was.
Listen, I'm 44 in less than 2 months. There's nothing wrong with that either. We can still do it.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it, Ben.
He's flying that flag well.
I just admired how well he played.
1982 babies. That's it. We're made of strong stuff, Gord. Just jumping back to the football. And I think actually, Fraser, you said, did you call in at Narberth? And there was a bit of snow in the warm up, so it shows how cold it was there. But that was an eye-catching win for Moncton, wasn't it? They put 7 past Narberth on Saturday.
Yeah, Narva struggling. You worry for them now. It was a good win for Moncton, and like Stuart James said in the first hour, it is one they had to get 3 points closer to Hakin. They've now got to hope Hakin slip and they can keep capitalising, however unrealistic it might seem on paper at the moment. But yeah, they needed that. They were 5-6-0 up by half time, then so they put the game to bed. At the other end, you'd be concerned for Narberth now, especially with that Carew win actually against Clarbeston Road, a huge result in the context of the table. Sam Christopher, he's done it at a few clubs. He's done it a long time now. He's a clinical little striker. Did it for Carew, did it for Bridge, amongst others. 4 goals and 10 4 goals. Yeah, back at Carew now. 4 goals, and 4 crucial goals when Carew really needed it. So, Carew having looked, you wouldn't say dead and buried at that stage of the season, but certainly it looked grim for them in the earlier weeks, and they've had a bit of a revival now. So it's looking now like a 3-way 4 battle at the bottom to go down.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we'll follow that. We'll jump back into the league results. We will talk about that incredible 25-0 game in a sec. But let's just have a look at the Senior Cup, because the 2025-26 Pembrokeshire Senior Cup got going at the weekend with the first round matches. Maybe start, Gordon, with a mention for Hakin, who took on Pendine, and Cameron Brunton scored 5. Hakin putting 10 goals past Pendine, and they'll be one of the favourites, won't they, Hakin, to win the Senior Cup?
Definitely. And another man who was in form was Cameron Brunton. He's been out of injury for quite a while, to be honest with you, for most of the season. And he's featured in this game and banged in 5 goals. Ashley Bevan, who has a wealth of experience, as Fraser knows. He's been around a while. He had a hat-trick as well, former West County striker. And you had Liam Parks and Matthew Broom scoring as well. So fair play to Hakin. They are the cup holders, senior cup holders. They are the West Wales cup holders. They're looking to try and win the league and topple Goodwick from that mantle, which they're doing at this moment in time. So Scott Davis has certainly got his team well focused.
Yeah, they're competing on all fronts, aren't they? There was something of a round 1 upset, actually, wasn't there? After extra time, New Hedges, Saundersfoot United winning 4-2 in their game away to Fishguard. Fraser, they'll take that. That was a good result.
Yeah, they will. Fishguard actually one of the sides looking over their shoulder now in Division 1, and that'll be almost a demoralising loss for them in terms of morale, if nothing else, even if they hadn't been amongst the favourites for the Senior Cup. So, and of course, Milford United, I think it was Division 2 win over Division 1. Milford United, Kilgetty as well. Kilgetty and Fishguard, 2 struggling sides, actually. If you can turn it into a positive, I never believed in this in terms of getting out of cup competitions early can help your league form. I think it can spark league form and give you momentum and morale, like I said, if nothing else, especially at the start of the year when you're looking to get back in the swing of things after maybe a bit of an inactive Christmas period. But I don't see those two as actual real shocks, especially Milford United at home. Odds on to come back up. Senior Cup finalists last year, should never really have been relegated. Saundersfoot is a great result for them, though. Newly promoted to Division 2, and to go to Fishguard and win. I think Fishguard would be a lot more disappointing than Kilgetty, that's for sure. But now it is a case of both having to concentrate on league form, and both need to, because they're in the mix.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see Saundersfoot, Fraser, who are actually they did a Tenby, didn't they? They left the league a few seasons ago, and now they started up again, and they've got stronger. And Saundersfoot back in the 80s always had terrific sides, so they're coming strongly, and I predict them possibly to get Division 1 football next season alongside Milford United coming back.
And the only other one in round 1, and again, Gord, you called out 5 goals in the other game for Hakin for Cameron Brunton, but Scott Fernie hit 5, didn't he, for Tenby? Tenby winning 7-1 against Haverford West Cricket Club. I always love saying them in football context terms, but that was a big win for Tenby there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We always say Tenby's a good cup side. They are. Yes. And Scott Fernie has played at a number of clubs as well and always scored goals. And he's a danger when he's up front. And yeah, you're right. He scored 5 goals. And Sean Whitfield, who used to play for Carew, is at Tenby. He got 1. And Robson Evans and Jason Griffiths, who was playing for West County, not West County. He was playing for Merlin's Bridge last season up front. Jason Griffiths got 1 back for West Cricket Club, which was a consolation, to be honest with you.
Excellent stuff. So round 1 done and dusted. Looking beyond the obvious in terms of teams that could win it, do we think?
think there's a wider mix. I think if you're going to talk the obvious, Haken obviously favourites. I don't think there was any surprise about that result against Division Penn Down. I think Scott Davis just been pleased to have, I think, people like Jack Britton back in action to have got through without injuries. Interesting, Haken actually only named 12 players. They were missing a couple. They didn't want to bring any second team players into the squad to tie them unnecessarily, which is fair enough. Haken, probably favourites on current form, but I think you're talking teams like Goodwick, like Moncton, like Tenby, all in the mix, like St Ishmael's now, we have to say them as well, all in the mix. So there's certainly going to be a lot of challenges to them, that's for sure.
There's a few contenders, Gord.
Yeah, I fancy Tish. I know Aaron Hallam is out at this moment in time, but they're not a one-trick pony. They're capable, as Fraser seen on Saturday. They defend strongly. They can score goals. They've improved massively from last season. I'd love to see Tish have an excellent cup run this season.
Absolutely right. And let's just mention that game in Division 4, and we heard about this in the first hour of the show. Johnston seconds 0, Fishguard seconds 25 was the final score. Simon Jones, who we spoke to in the first hour, scored 11 times for Fishguard. Fraser, you caught up with him. I bet he couldn't quite believe what was going on, could he?
No, I did check before the interview. Did he ever scored 11 in a game? He'd never scored more than 3. He actually lost count of how many goals he scored. He said, "Look, it's we don't like to see it, do we?" And it's not anyone. Well, apart from maybe Simon Jones, no one really benefits from an occasion like that, and maybe Fishguard's goal difference. Having said that, but look, you will say for Johnson seconds. I mean, you can't praise a side who's lost 25-0. They turned up, I think, with 9 players. They soon went down to 8. Our very own Dan Metcalf, who runs the team and isn't a player that had to go in goal. At least fair play to them, as you should say, for turning up and not ducking out the fixture. And ironically, and this is the value of turning up for fixtures, even when there are no hope. And I believe Solver seconds was the only game called off. They were meant to go to Milford seconds. They should now get deducted points because they couldn't raise a side. I think that'll be now imminent. And they were just behind Johnson, I think, in the battle to stay up. So, it could be a rare occasion where a team has lost 25-0 and actually pulled away from the relegation. So they're in a better position than they were before. But I hope that doesn't demoralise players who did turn out for Johnson seconds, because, it is, we have a chuckle about it. You see a scoreline like that, but no one really wants to see it, do they?
No, absolutely right. And I think well done to them for at least completing the game, as you say. I think they started with only 9 players, and I've got a feeling they were down to 8 by half time as well, because someone had to leave. So that cannot have been a particularly fun 90 minutes, especially for Dan, who was in goal. And he actually did say he had quite a good game as well. So, yeah, maybe he kept the score down.
Yeah, I wouldn't claim that too loudly. You could maybe argue with a different keeper, it may have been 30. So
exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. So we're very much into the second half of the football season, aren't we, across the county? And you kind of touched on it in terms of your comments there about the cups and Haken looking good in the league. From the three of you, anything we should just keep an eye out for in this second half of the season, would you say, when it comes to Pembrokeshire football?
We've all gone quiet.
I think we don't want to say the title's done and dusted, and it's not, because there could be fixture backlogs, there could be injuries, there could still be twists. I can't see Haken being caught in the title race. I think if you're talking in terms of Division 1, I think the relegation race is shaping up to be fascinating now. Just a second. It looks very bleak for Kilgetty. They're bottom on 3 points, and you've got Carew on 9. They're coming good, as they did on Saturday. Fishguard on 9. Narberth and 12, who have been a bit of free fall of late. So I think the battle between those 3 for the 2 survival places, that's going to be what to keep an eye on, Ben. I think that could be very important, and that could swing in a lot of ways now between now and May.
And if that title race does look like it's going one way, but keeping an eye on some of the cups as well, I think, Gord, we mentioned the Senior Cup, but also the West Wales Cup as well. Watching how our sides progress there, I think, could be quite interesting. Yeah,
well, obviously Haken are the holders of the West Wales Cup as well, they're a very strong outfit. And they got strength and depth in their squad as well, Ben. So I can see them going quite well, maybe to the semi-finals, and if they get there, anything can happen then. good are capable of beating any team on their day. And as Fraser pointed out, their prolific goal scorer Rhys Darling is on the verge of coming back. So I can see them being a very good side, tough to beat. We just have to wait and see what happens as the weeks unfold. But Hakin, I would say, are basically they take some stopping to not win the league this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would be some effort for someone to catch them and overtake them, I think. We'll keep a close eye on that as we go through the second part of the season. Just one other football line, actually, we just to mention on the show last week, Fraser, you did a really good interview with Ben Fawcett, didn't you? The Haverford West County striker who's off to Australia. So people can catch up with that. That was on the show last week, and you can catch up with that on the website, purewestradio.com. He's been some servant, though, hasn't he, at the Oggy Bridge Meadow, and a decent lad as well in terms of Pembrokeshire football.
Yeah, he's developed brilliantly since leaving Hakin. I think what was the end of the 2018 season, become a big player for them, scoring goals in Europe, and good to see that he's actually going out to Australia to pursue a football opportunity. Actually, it'll be a new environment for him. The standards raised a lot there. There's actually a pathway through to the A-League. I think it's not quite as simple as that, but there is a pathway for him at the club he's at now. So, yeah, all the best to him, and good for him for taking the challenge in a completely different conditions, that's for sure.
Absolutely right. Okay, we're going to round up the show
in January.
No, exactly. It'd be lovely out there, wouldn't it? Yeah, don't blame him. And we're going to round up the show with some darts, and I think I'll also maybe just get Gordon's hot take on what's happened to Mr. Amarin today as well. So we'll do that in the final part of the show, Pure West Sport, for a Monday evening.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors offer a warm